I am Alexandre Cabaret. I'm here in Brussels with Maria Helena Semedo, Deputy Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And we're actually here to discuss a report that has been largely voted by European parliamentaries that looks at placing property rights and land management at the heart of development policy of the European Union. So how do you welcome this initiative? And looking ahead, what is the biggest challenge facing the EU and the international community on property rights?
We really welcome the report and the findings coming from the report. The findings go in line with FAO findings as well, because we need to increase production, we need to increase productivity, and we have the smallholder farmers. They produce 80% of the food we consume. But unfortunately, those smallholder farmers, the most vulnerable, the women, they don't have access to land. And if they don't have access to land, they cannot invest in this land in a way to transform the land in wealth. And the findings from this report, these come in agreement what FAO has already said, but what is good, it brings some way forward. And for us, more important than the findings and really how we can empower the smallholder farmers, the vulnerable, in order for them to claim and to have the access to land tenure and to have the possibility to invest in this land, contributing for the increasing of food security and hunger elimination, and creating wealth for them and for the country as well. And in this regard, we have a very strong instrument, the voluntary guidelines on land tenure, forestry and fisheries, providing us the framework where we can have a fair investment, where we can defend the rights of all the parties and really have a platform for dialogue. And what is good from these voluntary guidelines, it moved to a multi-stakeholder approach. It's not a country or government approach, but the civil society and the private sector, not only they participate in the formulation and in the agreement on the voluntary guidelines, but they are fully part on the implementation. This means that we have the government having the legislation and the framework where we have those rights defended, and the problem is not to have a very strong legislation framework, is for the vulnerable, for the smallholder farmers to know and apply their rights. And this is the challenge when we move towards the implementation.
And you're here to sign a specific initiative on this, right?
Yes, we will be signing a project where we have two levels of intervention. One level of intervention at continental level with African Union. We work with African Union on a land policy initiative where we define the guidance for the land policies. And we have another stream, is the country level. We are working with 10 countries, and we have two levels, as I said, the global level or the continental level and the country level, and they are not in competition. They are working together, and one is contributing to the other.
So you're here to sign this project today?
It will be signed at the end of the day today.
So when do you start implementation then?
As soon as the funds will be available, and what I heard was today, immediately after the signature, we will be having funds available, and we will be empowering the African Union. We will be recruiting some staff, not to work with us, but to work with the African Union and the countries, helping them to be empowered, to have the legislation they need, and on the other side, how we can implement in a transversal way, but when you can have lessons learned from those 10 countries and scale up to other countries. And I think it's a very dynamic and forward-looking project.
So what amount are we talking about in terms of investment here from the is the money coming only from the European Union, or FAO is also contributing to it?
So far, African Union is providing around $2 million. FAO will be providing technical support to African Union and to the countries, and we are sure other partners, we have already Switzerland working with us, other partners will be joining this initiative, and it will be a joint initiative with a trust fund where we can expand the work we are doing at these two streams as I refer.
Okay. Are other similar agreements planned between FAO and other donors?
We have donors working with us, different donors. We have the Switzerland, we have the UK, we have Norway, and we will be expanding the funds to other new partners, because the voluntary guidelines are creating a very strong momentum where the countries will be working with us, but more than working with FAO, working at country level, knowing that we have secure land heights, we can really improve food security, nutrition, and we can protect natural resources. And those are the challenges we have on the 21st century.
Yeah, population growth.
Population growth, urbanization, climate change, competition over resources. Those are the challenges, and we consider that land tenure is not the solution, but could be one of the solutions or contributing to the global solution.
Okay, so last question, Maria. Women make up 70% of Africa's farming population. What are the concrete steps that FAO is taking today to help women access to land property right?
Unfortunately, women has been the less protected when you go to secure land tenure, because of different reasons, of customary laws and regulations, because of religion, and they don't own the land. And if they are not owners of the land, they cannot invest on the land. We have several cases in Africa, for instance, when a woman, she became widow, she loses the land to the husband family, and they have to educate the kids, but they lose all the rights they have. Or sometimes they have the right to a land, but they don't use the rights because they have the legislation constraints. And we work very much with women, how we can empower the women in such a way they can use the rights, they can invest in their land, and they can be full producers. And this is why it's very important for us. The women has to become full producer. They have to have access to land, access to inputs, and access to capacity development, education, technology, for them to be, as I said, equal producers as men.
Maria, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.